Hello everyone, my name is Alex from Ernest Alex Reads, and today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I completed in the month of May 2019. So for the first 2 weeks of May, I read like 3 books, and I thought, because of all of my university work and my exams and how stressed I was at the beginning of the month and up to the middle of the month, I thought I'm not going to read a lot of books, maybe 5-6 books. So I will just do a May wrap up at the end of the month. By the end of May, I've read 15 books. So my plan kind of backfired. So I'm not going to be talking about these books in detail. I'm just kind of going to go through them, say a couple things that I thought about them, and then give my star rating, because it is a lot of books again, which I am happy about, but also I was not expecting. I'm gonna start out by talking about Orlando by Virginia Woolf. This is a bit crazy. I have read Miss Dalloway and To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf, and this one has definitely has a different style. But I thought it was very interesting. This follows Orlando through the ages, and this book looks a lot at gender and gender roles in society, and how different time periods affect personality. And I thought it was a really interesting read. I very much enjoyed my time with Orlando by Virginia Woolf, and I ended up giving it 4 stars. The next book I'm going to talk about is The Life and Death Parade by Eliza Voss. I did not enjoy this book. I never got into it, never connected with the characters, thought the plot was just... I mean, yeah, you can write a book about it. I was very neutral about this book. I gave it 2 stars. Another 2-star read for me was Replica. If you want to hear more of my thoughts on this book, I will link a video where I talk about this book in depth. So yeah, 2 stars. This month I also read The Serpent's Shadow by Rick Riordan. This is the 3rd and final novel in the Kane Chronicles. This follows the Kane siblings, Carter and Sadie, and their experience with ancient Egyptian gods. I thought this was a great ending to the trilogy. I was intrigued the whole way through all 3 books. I definitely enjoyed it. I gave all 3 books 4 stars. I did really enjoy, there was like a bonus short story where Carter Kane meets Percy Jackson, and that warmed my heart, and it made me want to read the original series, the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series, reread those, so that might be something in my future. In April, I visited Norway for the first time. I went to Oslo for a couple of days, and I really enjoyed my time there. And while I was there, I picked up 2 books from authors from Norway that have been translated into English, because I thought that was a great memory of my trip. First, I thought it was great because I don't read a lot of translated fiction, and I find that very sad. And second, I thought that's a great memory of going to a place and finding local authors and then reading their works. So the first book that I picked up in Oslo was The Unseen by Roy Jacobson. This book follows a family who are the only inhabitants of a small island. They tend the land, they live on the land, and they are connected to the mainland only by a boat, and they do a bit of trade with the island, but with the rest of Norway, but they are still very isolated. This is also historical fiction, and it kind of chronicles the life of this family on this island. And this book was shortlisted for the Man Booker International Prize in 2017, and I can totally see why. It is amazing. It is so atmospheric. It just, it's a very quiet novel. Not a lot happens, but you can feel, but at the same time a lot happens, and I really, really enjoyed reading this book. It's around 250 pages. I highly, highly recommend this book. It is absolutely beautifully written, and I gave this book 5 stars. The next book that I picked up in Norway was The History of Bees by Maya Lunde. This is also historical fiction. It follows three separate timelines and it focuses on beekeeping and bees, hence the title, The History of Bees. I really enjoyed this book as well. I loved it very dearly. I am a sucker for multiple timelines that are connected in some way, so in many ways this is the perfect book for me, and I thought it was beautifully crafted. I also gave this book 5 stars. I also saw on Goodreads that there is like a companion novel about the ocean, and I hope that gets translated at some point because I want to read it. Then I read To Night Owl from Dogfish by Holly Goldberg Sloan and Meg Wolitzer. This is a middle grade novel. This follows two 12-year-olds who get sent to camp, who get sent to the same camp because their dads are secretly dating, and they are supposed to become friends at summer camp, and they decide to never become friends. This book is entirely written in emails and letters, and sometimes you get the perspective of the grandma or the two dads, and it really just follows the friendship of these two girls, and I absolutely love this book. It made me nostalgic for my own camp experience. It has Parent Trap themes. I thought it was wonderful. I highly recommend this book as well. I gave it 4 stars. The next book that I'm going to talk about is actually the first book that I read in May, and that is The Doll Factory by Elizabeth McNeil. This is an ARC. Holy moly, this book is brilliant. I gave it 5 stars. This book is about Victorian England. It's about obsession, it's about art. It is beautifully crafted. It is so creepy and unsettling, but also like fascinating, and I got totally sucked into this book. I highly recommend this book as well. I just was so emotional while reading all of this book. It is very dark and creepy, but absolutely beautifully and super well written, and I am glad that I picked this up. The final physical book that I read in the month of May was Heartbreaker by Claudia Day. This is also super atmospheric and super creepy and outside of my comfort zone. This follows a cult, and it follows a specific family. This book is very atmospheric, but it is very hard for me to explain. It is definitely outside of my reading comfort zone. It's very fascinating. It has a very strong voice. The narration is very strong and artistic. I gave it 4 stars, and I was also quite creeped out. The first audiobook that I listened to is The Past and Other Things That Should Stay Buried by John David Hutchinson. This is my first experience with this author. This book follows Dino and his ex-best friend July died suddenly, and then she comes back to life, and they are given a second chance to talk about their relationship and what went wrong, and to get some closure that was that they were unable to have before July originally died. I gave this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed listening to it, and it was a really good book. I also listened to The Loneliest Girl in the Universe by Lauren James. This is also my first experience with Lauren James, and I am excited to read more of her books in the future. This follows a girl, the loneliest girl in the universe. She is alone on a spaceship, and her parents have died. Her parents have died, and she is in charge of getting the spaceship to New Earth or Earth 2, and then NASA sends another spaceship to come meet up with. So when I started this novel, I thought it might be a cute love story set in space. It was not that, but I enjoyed the plot nevertheless, and I gave it 4 stars. And the last book that I'm going to talk about, and another audiobook that I listened to in the month of May, Exit West by Mohsin Hamid. This is a book that has been on my TBR for a very long time. I'm excited, and I thought I would always really enjoy this book, and I did not surprise myself. I did enjoy this book. I was right. It was very fascinating. I love the writing style in this book as well, and I will be picking up some of his work as well in the future. So those were the books that I ended up reading in May. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day and that you're reading a great book, and I will see you in my next video.